All right, happy Saturday, everyone. I was just testing the audio to make sure that I'm hoping that you can hear me. We were on Wednesday, the sound did not capture, so can you just type in comments if you can hear me right now? Please. If you're joining us live on Facebook, I'll be posting this video on YouTube and my website later, so if you can just type in that you can hear me. All right, thank you, cool. I want to make sure, so I'm not just talking and no sound is being recorded. So, all right, so we'll get started. I think move this a little bit. I made myself a new old work surface, so I'm hoping this is gonna turn out to be it's a little bit more stable than my just fold up table, so that's always a good thing to consider when you're making a project, just to find like a nice stable work surface. So it's kind of windy, so hopefully you can still hear me okay. So today we're gonna be building these address planners, and this is kind of what it looks like. Obviously I don't have any address numbers on here yet, but that's where they would go. So, up here, something like that. So we're building this out of cedar today, and if you're joining us live, let me know so I can make sure to check in and make sure everyone is following along and on the same page. If not, and you're watching this later and building along, you can always pause the video as you need more time. So yeah, so all of the plans for this are on my website, enerstructa.com, and I'm just going to go through some of the tools and materials to make sure you have on hand. So I'm going to set my demonstration aside, and so you're going to want some clamps that can clamp at least 12 inches, and then you're going to want to have a hammer and a drill and some drill bits and a tape measure, and then today we're also using a Kreg jig. So this Kreg system, K-R-E-G, so just kind of a fun way to fasten things together, where you can have hidden fasteners, and you can go online. I know buildsomething.com has lots of plans that use Kreg jigs. So that kind of basically is going to mean, like, in the back side here, we've got these pocket holes, and you can actually fill them in. They've got these, I forget what they're called, these like inserts, so you can have a flush surface. So if you're building something where you might see it, this is the back side, so it's going to be hanging up against a wall, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're building furniture, something like that, you can get, plugs, there we go. You can get plugs that can match your wood, or even look different, just to kind of like show a little bit of the joinery. So yeah, so you're going to want to have Kreg jig. If not, the other thing you can do is, if you don't have a Kreg jig and you don't want to do it this way, you can instead run a couple of vertical, like 1x2s or something like that here on the back, and then attach your hangers to those. So you don't have to use the Kreg jig. I just included it in this project just as a different way to put something together. So I have a nice flat back surface of my project. What else? So fasteners, we've got specific screws that are pocket hole screws. These ones are Kreg specific. Then we got some galvanized box nails and our wood. So again, we're using cedar. I've already pre-cut all of my pieces. When you go, most likely going to need to buy 8-foot lengths of material. So this is a 1x4 material of cedar, and cedar is good for outside projects. So you can stain it or paint it, or you can just leave it to weather, and it'll weather gray over time. So I was just measuring. I was wondering how many boards you need. So that'd be 3 feet. I think you could do this with one 8-foot long board of 1x4. So I have to double check all the measurements, but it seems like I think I think you could do it with one board. So cedar is generally not, you know, it costs a little bit more than just fir, but you know, one stick of wood is not a huge amount of material to buy. So the other thing you want to have are your D-ring hooks. I'm just gonna show you these guys, your hangers, or if you want, you can, instead of having these as hangers, you could just directly drill through the face of this into whatever you're attaching it to. So it's depending on how you want to hang it up. If you want to hang it like on top of some trim or siding outside, or you know, somewhere else. Yeah, just whatever whatever kind of fastening system makes sense, the most sense for your application. So okay, I think we're ready to get started. Is anyone else here building along? I think, I'm not sure. You'll have to comment because I can't. I could see Isaac. So if anyone else is watching, I think it's just Isaac for now. So yeah, we'll just get going, and feel free to leave us feedback on our Facebook page or YouTube, or send us an email about how these classes are going. We're going to keep doing these through this month, and then possibly next month transition into doing more skill building and actually learning how to use the tools that you need to make these materials, so, or to make your projects. Okay, so I think to get going, there's you can put this project together in probably a few different ways. So really, you'll have to figure out the back needs to get put together at one time, and then this box can get put together separately, and then you attach them once they're both assembled. So either way, you can start with your back or the box in the front. I think we'll just start with the box in the front first, and then we'll work on the back later. So I need to grab my front piece of wood. So that's going to be your 1x4, that is, let's see how long this one is, 12 inches long. So grab that piece of wood. My wood is already it's not too rough on the edges, so I'm not going to be too worried about sanding, but you can also sand if you want. And then the other really important thing about cedar is there's generally a rough side and then a smooth side. So you'll want to figure out which side you want facing out. So today I'm just going to have the rough side out on my boards. So on this one, I'm going to pre-drill a bunch of holes for nails, as always, because that makes putting it together easier, and it helps reduce the likelihood of the wood splitting, especially when we are nailing like really close to the edges. So I'm going to drill holes for nails, 2 on each end, and then I'm just going to do 2 on the bottom spaced out. So you can either eyeball this, or you can get specific measurements of like, oh, I'm going to go in 3 inches in from each side and put a nail there. Just keep in the distance you go from the edge of the board in, you want to have that be 3/8 of an inch, because 1x4s, the actual one dimension, so that's dimensional lumber. So this actual measurement is not an inch; it's actually 3/4 of an inch. So you divide 3/4 of an inch in half to get the center, and that's where you want your nail, because then you're going to be attaching. Well, not this one, but here, it's better. You're going to be attaching these together, and so you want to make sure when your nail is coming through the front, you're actually able to get it in the back piece, and it's not going to be at an angle, so it's not going to try to like go out the edge of the wood. So it's a little bit tricky. If you are newer to putting things together, I recommend just grabbing your tape measure of an inch. Have it's a little tape measure 101, but like 3/8, all the a lot of them they don't. They're just lines, and so each of these lines is a 1/16 of an inch. Generally, there are some tape measures that have 32nds, so just you can count how many lines are in here. So from 1 to 2, inches, I have 16 lines, so that means these are 1/16 of an inch marks on here. So 3/8 is going to be 3/8, if you double that, is 6/16. So generally, going back to math and fractions, so 6 of the lines is going to be 3/8. So sometimes that's easy to, when you're learning how to read a tape measure, that's kind of an easier way to, instead of just trying to figure out what 1/8 is. So 1/16 of an inch, so 3/8 is 6/16. So, or 1/8 of an inch is 2 of these lines. So you go, so to get to 3/8, you have this line and you have this next bigger line and then this one. So there's probably, I'll probably do more of a tutorial on tape measures than another class, but that's just generally 3/8 is going to be, if you have a tape measure that's in 1/16 of an inch, is going to be 6 of those lines over. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to eyeball it because I've done this a good amount of times. So I'm going to grab my drill and a drill bit, and then I'm going to look at my nail size and see what my diameter is. So most likely I generally am using a 1/16 of an inch drill bit, so I'm just going to match up my drill bit with my nail size and make sure that they line up. Maybe the drill bit, I like to have my drill bit a little bit smaller than my nail, just so that when I'm pounding it together, the wood is nice and snug. I'm not going to be using any kind of glue today. If you're going to use glue, you're going to want to have for exterior, so it's not normal wood glue. Putting this outside and it's, you live in a place where it rains, then, which is most of the places, especially if you get a lot of rain, it's just going to wash the wood glue out of the cracks over time. So I've learned that from one of the other projects I didn't put any finish on and left outside over a winter. So yeah, we're not going to use any glue today. Normally we do. You could caulk, like an exterior rated caulk in your seams just to keep it together better, but I'm just going to use nails and put it together. So, and screws for the back. If you don't have drill bits, another trick I learned is that if you have a like a ability to cut the head off of your nail, you can actually just use your nail as a drill bit, and then it's the exact size of the hole that your nails are going to be. So that is a trick. If you break your drill bit or you don't have nails, you can cut off that and use that as a drill bit. Generally that works pretty well. It's not as good as the drill bit, but it's something you can. So and I'm going to do another class on drills too, but put your drill bit in. You can do it manually and just close the chuck by hand. I like to just put my drill in forward and then hold the chuck and the bit. It's a little trickier, but then get it so it grabs it tight. And now I'm ready to drill. So I'm gonna make sure my materials are off to the side, and then I have a surface now that I don't care about drilling into. So I am just going to drill directly through my material into the table, and so because it's made out of wood and I don't care if I drill into it. So if you have something else, you can always grab a scrap piece of wood and put it underneath the piece that you're drilling into to make sure you're not drilling into your work surface as an option. Okay, so if you're measuring and marking, do that. I'm just going to eyeball it and drill my holes. Actually, I think I'm going to do 3 holes in the bottom. I'm going to do 1 in the middle and then 2 in between that. Okay, so I have all of my holes in my front piece pre-drilled. So I'm going to set my drill aside for now. And then I'm gonna grab my hammer and my nails and get all of my nails started. So they're, again, if you haven't joined me before, I like to start my nails in my wood so that but not go all the way assembling, nailing these pieces of wood together a bit easier, so you're not having to start your nail and nail into your piece. So I'm going to do that. And I'm using galvanized nails. You can also use like stainless steel nails or screws, some kind of exterior rated screws. You can use just other like interior fasteners, but they're just gonna end up staining your wood. So if you have nothing else at home to use, then use what you have. Stainless steel or some kind of coated fastener. Okay, so I've got all of my nails started. They're all sticking up. Now I'm going to grab my side pieces, well, one of my side pieces. Again, I'm going to have the rough side facing out, and I'm going to actually use my other stack of wood as a little helper so that it makes it easier to nail this. If you could also use your clamps to set up a clamp and clamp, you know, this side, but I'm just going to use my little wood pile right here as a guide, or as a rest, not a guide. Okay. Just going to get my other nail going before I fully sink that one in, just in case. Okay. Then I need to get my other piece ready, but I'm going to also get my bottom piece set in place so that I make sure that I have enough space here to put my other end in. So I'm going to have kind of set this up so I have a little bit of a gap, so a little bit for drainage, and I'll probably also drill some more holes in there. So sometimes this ends up being tight. This is actually has enough space right now to allow for some drainage in the bottom already. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so I got both my sides attached. Now I'm going to add my bottom. So I'm just going to center this piece, have a little bit of gap on each side. Okay. And then sink these nails in. I always like to not go all the way there just in case I need to pull it out for any reason. It doesn't quite line up. Good. Okay. Alright, so now I have my box all together. So this is going to stick onto the back. So we're going to set this aside for now. If you want, I was just noticing, if you want, you could add some screws or some nails into the sides as well. I might actually do that. So I'm gonna grab my drill again. Never mind. If you think you need more nails, just feel free to add them. I think we're going to add one on each side. So I'm just going to pull it outside my drainage still. Okay. All right. Pull it out a little bit more. There we go. A little bit too far. So. Okay. All right. So I still have my gaps. Now I'm gonna set that aside. And now we're going to get to use the Kreg jig. So you're going to take your 3 back pieces, set our hammer aside, and then you're going to want to, again, figure out how you want to orient them, look at, see if there's any knots. Look at how pretty this piece is, it's got such different cool coloration in it. These other ones have a couple of knots, so just figure out where you want to put your knots. Go like this to your layout. Actually, so many decisions. Do these like that. Okay. So this is going to be my bottom, so I'm going to end this piece right here. So my box is going to cover part of that. And then, actually I might move that over. It's like the hardest, this is like the part that takes the longest, is laying out your project and figure out how you want it to go together. So, I'm going to put that across. Okay. All right, so now this is how I want it facing out. So now I have to flip it all over. And so I'm just gonna, you can do that one by one, just flip it over. And then we are going to use our Kreg jig. So I'm going to ignore the middle piece, and I'm going to drill my holes into the top and the bottom piece. So I'm just going to, while it's here and laid out, it's kind of helpful. I gotta grab a pencil. I'll be right back. Okay, pencil. So I'm gonna grab my tape measure. It's right here. And then I'm gonna want 2 screws from this board into the middle and 2 from this to the middle. So I'm gonna measure in. So my boards are 18 inches long. So I'm gonna put my screws that I want my marks for my screws at 4 inches in from each side. So it can kind of help just to like measure out to 4, make a mark in the space like across both of the boards. I'm gonna do that on this side just so you can know how they match up. And you can even make an arrow to show which direction the screw is going. So that way when you're drilling your holes. So here, I'm just going to mark it and then I'll show you. Okay. So this is my bottom piece. I don't know if you can even see these marks, but so right here. So the screw, we're gonna want the screw to go from this board into the next board. So I made a mark here and then I extended that mark onto the other board. So then we'll get into Kreg jig. So there's different styles of these. This is one of the most basic ones. I think these are around like 20 bucks for this, and the drill and the driver for driving the screws. So yeah, this is kind of a fun little tool to use to make furniture and other things where you want to have hidden fasteners. So they come with a guide. This is the mini Kreg. So this is something you don't want to lose. You can probably find it online, but it tells you how to set it up based on your wood thickness. So again, we are using 1x4 for this project, which the thickness is actually 3/4 of an inch. So you want to look at how to set it up based on 3/4 of an inch material. So it tells you how to set up your drill bit to drill your hole. So I can't tell if this is backwards too. I know that this gets mirrored, so this might not make sense. I guess we'll find out later when we're watching it. But so for this is saying that we need to set this collar. This is the collar. We need to set this at 3 1/4 inch from not the tip, but this little stuff back here. So you'll want to measure from 3 1/4 inch from here to here. So yeah, there to there. And I already set this up on my own. There's a little set screw right here. And so again, this will come with an Allen key, so you can loosen that and move this part back and forth. So I've already set this one up. So that's one of the pieces to set up is this. And then to get that put into your drill. So okay, so I got my drill set up. I'm gonna put my nails aside for now. It's always good to clean off your work surface from things you don't need, because otherwise they end up getting in your. All right, and so then you have to figure out where to put this on your wood. So material. I really like basically just line up the face of the Kreg jig with the face of your wood, so it makes it pretty easy to makes it easier than the other options. So what that looks like is I'm gonna just grab one of my boards. Here's where my mark is. And this is tricky. The first time you ever use one of these, it's like you're not sure like which way to line this up. But so my mark is here, and I want to drill of my Craig mark. The thing you might want to do is transfer your mark from the face of this board over to the edge, so you can see where the center is, like that. And then you're going to line up. You're going to center your Craig jig with the line, and it's going to be the front of it's going to be flush with the edge of your board. Okay. So from here, you're going to need a clamp, and it's best if you can clamp your Craig jig and your wood to your work surface. So I'm going to set that up back here. You can get these specific clamps that are Craig clamps, or you can just use whatever other kind of clamps you have available. So it's kind of tricky. If you have a helper, you can have them help. One person can hold the Craig jig and the wood, and the other person can do the clamping part. So again, just one is lined up with the face of your board. All right, so there we go. So I've got this clamped, it's nice and secure. The other thing I didn't really mention is that when you do clamp it, I maybe should have moved this to the edge of my work surface a little bit more, but when you clamp it, you want to make sure you can get your drill in. So if I try to drill right here, that's kind of awkward because I'm like drilling at myself. So if you can move to the side of your work surface, I think you can still see me. Then you can use your drill to drill, have an easier way or more comfortable way to drill. So I'm just going to drill. You drill all the way in until this collar hits your Craig jig. And I have another one I can show you up close. So pretend this is attached into my wood. So you're going to get before you start drilling, just get your drill bit started. So just get it started in here. And then go in forward, so you're going to go forward all the way until your collar hits the blue part, and then you can put it in reverse and pull it out. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So as always, don't start your drill until you get it set in the Craig jig. All right, so there is my pocket hole. So you can see it doesn't go through there, but my screw is going to go into here and then out into my other piece of wood. So it just gets a nice hole that's already set at an angle. I mean, you can do this without a Craig jig, it just is a lot harder, and your wood is more likely to split that way, so this is just a nice way to attach two boards together and have a hidden fastener. So I'm going to drill my other hole on this board, and then I'm going to do the same thing on my other piece of wood. So until I have all of my 4 holes drilled. got one board done. My other one. Okay, last one. Okay, so I have all of my holes drilled. Now it's time to attach them all together. So you want to grab your clamps. Set these like to the side. And then I like to just kind of set the clamps like this on the table. So hopefully you have a pretty flat work surface, so you can make sure that your boards are not going to get cupped. And then I like to just have my clamps like, you know, just laying flat on the table so you don't have to worry about trying to hold them up. And just, you know, apply a good amount of pressure. If you apply a lot of pressure, that will also tend to want to cup them. So just, you know, just apply a kind of a lighter pressure. And then if you need more, you can, when you're drilling, if the wood moves as you're drilling, you can add a little bit more pressure. But just start. Another thing you could do, I guess, is to put like another piece of wood on top and then clamp it down and make sure your wood is, or your three pieces are going to be pretty flat. Your square, really long square tips. And get your screws ready. And then, so you'll just get the screw ready on the end. Set it up in the hole. It's a pretty steep angle, and you just start it in the hole and get it set, and then slowly screw it in. Okay, that's it. Oh. you look in your hole, it kind of has a flat surface that it just seats on. So just go to that far. Okay. Uh-oh. I lost signal for a second. I'm not sure what happened. Okay, so here is my wood all screwed together. It's pretty straight. So before we add the box, I'm gonna put the D-rings on the back so that it's easier to do that before the box is put on. So if you're doing some kind of hanger on the back, I would do that now. If not, you can not do this part if you're going to screw it directly through the face. Find where I put them. Okay. So I'm going to, let's see. Yeah, I'm just thinking. So this is 18 inches. You're hanging this on a wall, and your walls are framed with inches on center. Then you might only want to bring in your hooks an inch from each end, so that you can securely, like, have something that's fastened directly into your stud, and that will hold this up. So let's just do that on the one. So I'm just going to measure an inch in. On each side. Yep. And then you can decide if you want to see your hooks on top. So you can have them like this where they're sticking up. Or you can have them behind, hiding. So I think I'm just going to have mine hidden. So I'm going to figure out where I need to put that. So it will be hidden. I'm going to go down 1.5 inches. So I'm going to make a little cross spot where I'm going to drill my hole, both sides. Okay. So you can see, like there, that's my mark. And there. Okay. So I'm going to grab a drill bit that matches these screws. Pre-drill my holes. I'm not going to go all the way through because I don't want to have holes poking through the front. Hope these won't poke all the way through. I guess we're going to find out. Nope. Attaching the D-rings. Okay. So the other thing you could do as well is you could add like a wire in between the two D-rings, and then you could put them anywhere and then just hang it from one center point. So that's another option. You can still do that with where they are. So yeah, so my D-rings in. Now I'm going to plan out for my box. So we're gonna come back to our boxes. And you can really put this wherever you want. You can put it here, you can put it here, you can even put it up higher. But just think about if you are going to put numbers on here and if you were going to fill this with plants, how that's going to work best for your situation. So just make sure that you follow with however you installed your hangers in the back. Make sure right now it's going to be hanging this way so I don't want to accidentally forget and put it upside down. So I'm just going to line mine up with this edge over here, and so I'm going to add nails through the back into the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip the back down how it was. So I have the part we've been working on is facing me, and then I'm just going to have my box. I'm just going to make some marks on the back so I know where to drill the holes for my nails. So you can just mark, this is the back side, so it doesn't really matter if you mark holes. So you can just draw around the box on the inside and then do that. So you can just have these lines as guides. In case you're wondering, this middle board is one that was left over from another project that didn't go together for whatever reason, but so that's why there's holes here. Normally you won't have those there. Anyway, okay. So I'm going to drill bit back to the drill bit I used for my nails. So we're going to be doing nails. If you have screws, you can use screws. And then, yeah, I'm going to do the same kind of as I did the front, the same pattern. So two nails here, here, and then 3 across the bottom. Okay, and then grab my hammer and nails, get my nails started. Okay, so now the tricky part, getting my box on the front and making sure everything lines up. So I'm going to start with this corner in the bottom, just making sure that's all lined up. So the edges are flush, and then this side. Tap this bottom down a little bit. Oh. Oh no! Alright, I'll fix that. Oh man, sometimes you move wood around too much, it wants to split, so I just cracked that piece off. But oh, good times. Okay. So what we're gonna do, we'll just fix that by adding another nail through the bottom. It'll be just fine. I feel like that's always when it happens, just when you're about to be done. Alright, let's lay that up. Okay. I'll glaze just the sides so you're not going to notice it as much, or I won't. So hopefully this doesn't happen to you, but now you know how to fix it if it does. I'm going to add one more. Okay, bam, there you go. So now, I guess I can leave that there. Maybe drill a few more holes for drainage. So I'm just gonna grab a bigger bit. Let's see, I'm just gonna go with 1/8 of an inch. Okay. And I'm just gonna drill like, I don't know, 4 more holes. So. Okay, so now I've drainage my bottom. So from here, you could use it as it is, or if you want to add your address numbers on, you can do that. So I'm just going to do that for the purpose of this demonstration. So you kind of figure out, maybe put your numbers like across like this, or something like that, or you can have them, I mean, you could have them over here. So just think about what kind of plant you might be putting in here. It's better to have ones that kind of are one of the hanging types so they're not growing up too high. So just think about that with where you put your house numbers. So you do something like that, where you're diagonal. You got one more. So yeah, I'm just gonna look at that and see what I want to do. I think I might do a diagonal, I'm not sure. So many options. I don't know, I kind of like the diagonal idea. I think I'm going to do that. these I have nails. I'm trying to keep them from blowing away in the wind. Okay. Trying to make sure my holes don't line up with my seams, so they go in there. Actually, that would be okay. Let's see. Let's try that. As you can see, it's best to do one at a time because it'll just bounce around. And if you have another little trick, I don't know, just so that you're less likely to hit your fingers. Let's see. There's some cool numbers, like a painted aluminum. Oh, also, I probably should have pointed this out already, but if you were going to put a stain or something on this, I would recommend you do that before you add your numbers. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to let it weather. These numbers are kind of tricky to line up in a way, I think. They're so curvy. Okay, that looks good. Keep forgetting to put them in. hardest part. All right. Okay. All right. Bam. Yeah, that is, I think, backwards. Anyway, there you go. Put some plants in there, and there you have your address planter. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. We will be back next week with another DIY. So until then, maybe get outside, enjoy the sunshine, and yeah, stay healthy. Okay. Thanks.